In this video, I'm going to go over the steps of bringing background images into your SketchUp model. I'm in my SketchUp model, and what you can see here is that I've got a series of walls and figures and benches and artwork. In the distance, there's some space beyond, and what I want to do is bring an image in there that serves as a sort of background. Now, I'll be selecting 3 scenes for my pavilion project that will be final rendering drawings. I don't know exactly which ones those are going to be until I bring the background images and I play with the styles, but for the moment I'm planning on I'm going to possibly use this one. All of these images should have a little bit of the background showing. Some of them I think are better compositions than others, and I'll sort of make those decisions a little bit later. But you can see there's always like the landscape beyond that's sort of visible in the views that I've created, and hopefully yours has a few too, so that you're not just looking at walls and roof and ground plane, but you're kind of seeing the context in which the pavilion is located. Okay, so to bring the images in, I'm going to go to an ISO view and I'll change it to a parallel projection. Okay, now, again, I'm not really sure which ones I'm going to use, or what direction I'm going to be looking. So at the moment, I'm just kind of experimenting with a few things. To bring in a file that's going to serve as the background, I'll go to import and I will search for one of the images that I had downloaded. Now keep in mind that you want to look for fairly high resolution images. Otherwise, you're going to see a very pixelated background. Okay, so I've found the image that I want to bring in, and what I'm going to do is just temporarily place it. I want it to be vertical. And in this case, I'm going to use this front surface just to get the orientation correct. And then I'm going to scale it up. I don't know how big I need it to be just yet. That'll take also a little bit of experimentation. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it to the back. And, you can see I'm trying to use those axes so I know exactly where it's going. I use the green axis. Now I use the blue one. And I'm going to drop it down. Okay, now I'm going to go to one of my other scenes. Let's try scene 6. Okay, so there's the image. And as you can see, we have a few issues to resolve. For one thing, the image isn't big enough. And also, I want to shift it up so that the horizon of the image is basically right, roughly at the height of the eyes of the figures in the view. Now, obviously, we have some issues here with the size of the image. I have to have it fill the entire background. I can't have it just doing this partially. So what that means is I'm going to have to scale it larger. You can scale it by picking it and going to the entity window here, and going to advanced attributes. And I just, again, you don't know how big it's going to be till you bring it into the file. And it may take a little bit of, going back and forth between the scene and then backing out. Now what I'm going to do is drop it down again and see if I've gotten it to kind of fill the area a little bit better. Right, so that looks, pretty good. I've got, a little bit peeking up above. Now these are hills, so one would understand that they might be higher than the eye level of, what's the theoretical horizon. And I can see a little bit of it over here on the right. Now, obviously, I have an issue to resolve here. I suppose it could be sand that goes right up to the stairs, but I could also add in here a platform of some sort or a surface that could basically be there in place of the sand. So if I want to add a surface in that position, I'm going to go to the camera view. I'll go to the ISO view from here, or parallel projection and ISO view. And I can make a rectangle in that space that I can then use push-pull and bring it down a little bit. Now, you have to be a little bit careful. You want to make sure it doesn't show in any of the images. Okay, so I can just bring it down a short distance. And once I have that, I can make a window around it. And hopefully everything is locked. Yeah, so you can see everything is blue. Oh, my roof is not locked. So I'm going to right click and lock it. I don't want to capture anything besides this little section of ground. So I'm going to right click, make group. Looks like it, I'm going to undo that. It got the tree in there and I don't want that. I'm going to lock that tree. One thing you might want to do before you get into all this is to go around and lock things. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to create a new tag and I'm going to call that tag ground. Right. So I would say that if any of your views, if you want to have some surface in there, create a new tag called ground and generate some rectangular shape that can serve as something that you can then use the push-pull tool with. Okay, so now let's go back to my scene 6. And there we go. And I could assign the same material that I did to the pavilion base if I wanted to. And again, I could have left that as the sand if if you feel like it looks right. Right. So the process would be the same for other views. If you kind of have to get yourself oriented a little bit. Another thing you may want to do would be to create a tag for the background. And see here, we'll call this one background. Click on it, tag it to background, and lock it again so it doesn't move. It did not let me, for some reason, it did not let me lock it. I'll have to check into why that's the case. Not sure why it won't let me lock it, but one thing that you can do is, let's say you get this one scene set up, this one that I did was scene 6, and you're ready to work on another scene that's going to need another background image, is that you could click on it and hide it. Okay, now if you need to turn it back on, you'd go to View, Hidden Objects, Hidden Geometry. Okay, it's a hidden geometry, and you're going to right click on it and you are going to unhide it. So you can always turn things on and off, if they're kind of getting in the way or they're just causing distraction. So I've gone to another scene and I'm going to work on bringing a background image in there. So again, there's that image that I had already worked on, and I'm going to right click and hide it. All right, now I'll bring in another image to serve as the background here, and I'm going to look for another sort of similar desert scene for that one. Oh, I brought in an image and I feel like it's just too pixelated, so I'm going to delete that one and try another one. I brought one in and I think this one's going to work a little bit better, but as you can see, it looks like I need to make the image file a little bit bigger. So I'm going to click on it and I'm going to do the advanced attributes and bump this up to maybe 700 feet. Oops, gotta make sure you put the 700 foot symbol, not inches. And I'm going to then kind of bring it down. And again, I'm really trying to get it such that the horizon is where the interesting parts of the image are starting to appear. I want to make sure it still needs to be bigger. You can see like on this side, or I need to shift it over a little bit more, but I think I'll make it, let's try bringing, let's bring it up to 1,000 feet. Do it again, 1,000 feet. Enter, and again, shift it around a little bit. Now again, these are hills, so boy, it still seems a little bit too small. And it could be that I've moved it too far away. So let's go back to the ISO view. As you can see, it's right up to the edge of the platform, or it's a little bit further back, but let's do it. So let's try to bring it closer and see if that fixes the issue. Go back to scene 3. You'll notice that this image on the left is appearing again. Every time I reset the scene, I need to hide it. And I'm going to click on this image again and try to drop it down, try to drop it over to the right. So now it looks like it's filling the whole edge there. And I could make these hills come up above the roof, or I could let that drop down below. I think I'll leave it as I have it right now. Okay, so that's a second view. So I've got scene 6 here and scene 3 that I'm working with, and there's that image again that needs to then be hidden. I just need to generate one more image from a different direction. Now for this image, it's a little bit trickier because I'm looking at the corner of it. So I brought one in and then I rotated it. So let's go to the top view here, zoom out. So you can see I've got the 2 images that I started with, and then I've got this one. And again, it needs to be adjusted a little bit because I'm standing somewhere in here looking in this direction. So I would have needed to bring in 2 images, but rotating it is another way to do it. So let's go back to scene 5 here. So I can see part of one of these hills here, and the hill is also appearing over there on the right. All right, so now I have these 3 views, and what I'm going to do now is rename them so that I know when I come back and prepare for a final presentation sheet that I have all of these scenes. So I've got 3, I've got 5, and 6 were the ones that I worked on. So I'm going to click on scene 3, and I'm going to name this one Final Scene 1. And number 5 will be Final Scene 2. And then number 6 will be Final, consistent, Final Scene 3. So now they should be, I don't know if they'll rearrange themselves alphabetically or what. Okay. And when you get ready to export these images, you may need to hide the image that you don't need, and you'll go to File, Export 2D Graphic. So I've got that one. Let's see how Final Scene 2 looks. Okay, and then Final Scene 3. and those are ready again for the final presentation.